Have you ever wondered what it would be like if the world just started to unravel, all in a single day? Well, let's take a look at March 17th, 2026, a day that really did push the entire globe right to the very edge.
It all started on a Tuesday. But as you can imagine, this was no ordinary day. As news alerts started flashing on screens from all over the world, it became pretty clear, pretty fast, that this was a day the world was going to hold its breath. So where did it all kick off? The crisis really ignited in the Middle East with this sudden, massive military escalation. This was the flashpoint that set everything in motion. I mean, the scale of this first attack was just staggering. You have Israeli airstrikes taking out two of Iran's most senior officials right in their own capital, Tehran. At the exact same time, the U.S. is dropping these enormous 5,000-pound bombs. We're talking deep penetrating munitions made to just shatter underground bunkers on fortified Iranian missile sites. And the official reason for all of this? To protect those vital shipping lanes in the Strait of Hormuz. But, and this is a big but, not everyone was on board. This quote from President Trump really shows the massive diplomatic fallout. When key NATO allies said, "Nope, we're not participating," the White House basically declared it would go it alone. This just exposed this huge fracture within the Western alliance at the worst possible moment. The payback was, well, it was immediate, and it was deadly. A wave of attacks, launched by Hezbollah and other groups aligned with Iran, just rained down on Israeli cities. Shrapnel was tearing through the streets of Tel Aviv, civilians were killed, and explosions rocked Jerusalem. You could just feel the conflict escalating by the hour. And this wasn't just a regional conflict anymore, not by a long shot. The ripple effects started shaking the entire global system, and they hit the economy first. Right away, the financial impact was severe. Global oil prices just shot past $100 a barrel. You see, when the Strait of Hormuz is threatened, the world's energy supply line gets choked off. And for you, for me, for everyone, that means higher prices for gas, for shipping, for pretty much everything. Economists started using this term right away, a global oil shock. So what is that? It's basically when a price spike is so sudden and so severe that it can actually tip the entire world into a recession. This wasn't just some scary headline, it was a direct threat to the whole global economy. And the chaos kept spreading. Explosions went off in Baghdad's Green Zone, right near the U.S. Embassy. The State Department didn't even hesitate. It issued an ordered departure, getting all non-essential American personnel out of there. That's a huge sign that U.S. interests across the whole region were now under direct fire. Now, back in the United States, this foreign crisis was creating a political firestorm, and it was piling on top of an already very tense situation at home. You know, you almost never see dissent this public from someone this high up. Joe Kent, the head of the National Counterterrorism Center, just resigned, in protest. And his reason? He said that Iran posed no imminent threat. That was a direct challenge to the administration's whole justification for the war. A stunning break coming from inside the government's own security team. And get this, all of this was happening against this really bizarre backdrop at home. While the government was busy launching a new war overseas, a partial shutdown was threatening the Department of Homeland Security. Think about that. It meant TSA agents, the very people securing the nation's airports, were working without pay or just calling in sick. It was chaos. It's so easy to get tunnel vision when a crisis this big is unfolding. But on March 17th, the conflict in Iran was far from the only emergency going down around the planet. Let's just do a quick rundown of some of the other headlines from that day. On the Pakistan-Afghanistan border, a Pakistani airstrike hits a hospital and Afghanistan threatens a teeth-breaking response. In Nigeria, suicide bombers kill at least 23 people. And a brand new report comes out warning about a huge rise in AI surveillance being used by governments to spy on their own citizens across Africa. It was just a day of overlapping crises, everywhere you looked. And yet, amidst all the chaos, all the conflict, all the political turmoil, something else was happening. Something that honestly felt like it belonged to a completely different world, totally disconnected from all the violence and high-stakes drama. Because March 17th is St. Patrick's Day, and while all the diplomats and generals were grappling with this global crisis, while over 100 million people around the world were celebrating. The contrast is just, it's surreal. In Chicago, the river was dyed that iconic shade of green. In New York City, one of the biggest parades in the city's history marched right down the street. All around the globe, either in defiance of the day's terrible news, or maybe just in ignorance of it, millions gathered to celebrate. So,
In a single day, we saw a world on the brink of a massive war, economies in trouble, and political systems under enormous strain. And at the exact same time, we saw millions of people finding a reason to be joyful. It just leaves you with this fundamental question, right? In a world that feels like it's in a state of constant crisis, what does it even mean to just carry on?